April 24th. If you will, please join me for pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Well, first on our agenda is the West Street Building Committee. We have Lynn Mercier here. Sure.
All right.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So from what I understand, you guys were asking about what the charge was of the committee.
Yeah.
And I guess you want a little update of what we've done so far?
Yes.
So just looking at the charge, I can tell you what we've done so far. The first thing was contact the municipal departments to determine square footage. We've done that. We have that. Review the 2018 West Street School Reuse Committee Report, which we have reviewed. Review building original blueprints and tour building for the current condition, which we've done a few times with various people, the latest being last week with our representatives and senators. And then the last was to develop options regarding the building and cost estimates for each option. So that is what we are currently, that's taken the bulk of our time, getting those estimates. So we do have an estimate from the earlier architect for the numbers that he provided. So now we're contacting various engineering firms for like air safety, for water and septic reactivation, and we just most recently got a quote for a sprinkler system. So we're just trying to figure out how to renovate the building without doing a total gut.
Right.
And how much that's going to cost. So that's where we are now.
Okay. So as you've been touring it,
As what?
As you've been like taking
Mhm.
tours of the building, have you noticed anything like different over the time frame, or is it same, pretty much the same?
Oh no, the building looks great on the
Okay.
inside.
Good.
I mean, it certainly hasn't deteriorated,
Good.
if that's what you mean, since
Not
we
just like if you
started.
notice anything like throughout the time frame or anything, but yeah,
Oh no, it looks
No,
good, it looks
good.
clean, and
good.
the structure, the bones are excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
at least, as far as we know, so until we get
Yeah.
these engineers coming in. So,
You can imagine it's a solid building. I mean,
it
it's all
is,
built out of brick and concrete
Cinder
and,
block,
and steel.
And you don't see any cracking in the walls, exterior walls, so we know it's still solid,
Yeah.
you know. The other thing that Lynn didn't really mention is when we walked through with Senator Oliveira, was that they recommended we contact National Grid and see if they have any programs that would help us in updating the lighting and other electrical issues, you know. That's what we're trying to explore.
Right.
I know there's been rumors out there that there's mold and bad air quality in there, so we're trying to find a company to come in and sort of give us a guess, or come in and look and say, hey, yes or no, you know.
Right.
the air quality is this or that.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and granted, it's taken a long time, but the committee is trying to be complete in their research of it.
Well, and we also have to wait for the engineers to get back to us. Everybody is so busy.
Takes time.
You
Yeah.
know, the people that we've contacted, some don't even call us back.
Yeah.
So,
Which is understood.
well, we're gonna come back to the select board with the quotes that we have.
How was the square footage? Was it looking at more square footage than what we're using currently, do you think, or
Yes.
more of a wish list type square footage? What people would
Looking
need for the
at,
future, not just for today?
looking at what we have now for square footage, I wanna say we're about 6,000 to 8,000 square feet between the two buildings. When we put our request in, I think it came in at what, around 15,000?
For space requirements? Oh,
Yeah.
no, less. Total office, this is the current, or? No, 6,500 about is what they wanted, and we have 15,000 with that just first wing.
Okay.
So we have double what we need for town offices in just the kindergarten, first grade wing.
hoping to keep the auditorium, I trust.
Yes,
Good. That'd be wonderful.
yes.
What's the seating capacity of that?
I don't know, I wanna have the building inspector go in and,
What
make
do I-
that determination.
This auditorium, seating capacity?
I guess.
Over 200?
I would, I
Oh, I
kinda
think
think
so.
so. I mean, I remember being there for school functions
Might have
and
that.
I think I would have to say at least 200, right around there.
And they changed the requirements too.
Hmm?
Like, they changed the requirements too as more safety and stuff comes into play, right? As you fill the room and stuff like that.
Because I'm just thinking, like the number of rows there were in chairs, I would have to say, yeah, that's a fair estimate. All right. You have anything, Krista? Any questions?
No,
Karen?
I toured with them. It was nice to see the building and to see all their ideas and what they've been working on.
And I think that it looked pretty positive that we could get some help with money.
Yeah.
I mean, they asked once we get our quotes to contact them, let them know how much it's costing.
Who's
So that's a
that?
good,
The
Plus-
sen-
plus
Both the senator
senator
and
and-
the
yeah.
rep, yes.
the reps?
Yeah, Mindy couldn't make it, she had a conflict the last minute, I guess, so, Representative Terry and the senators were
Okay.
Yeah.
touring it with us, so.
yep.
Yeah, it'd be definitely, it'd be helpful if we get some aid, if you will, to, help with the, if we do renovations and stuff like that, without doubt.
You know, and then they were also mentioning about the opioid money, if there was a way we could try and infuse some of that money into the building. And I was talking with the police chief, and he was suggesting maybe opening a DART office there through the police department. So that the officer could hold office hours down there, or,
Mhm.
I guess we have 2 DART officers.
So it'd help
And
with the,
and they hold office hours down there, so maybe bring the Narcan box with them, and if people need it, that they can hand it out there on site. It'd just be there available for the general public to be able to come in and feel comfortable walking into, maybe not having to walk into a police department, but into another just building, and,
that's actually a really good thought, yeah.
you know, so we'll be exploring that also at the
Yeah.
same time. And I believe there's other DART money out there, drug money out there to help fund the DART program, and maybe we can get some of that money to apply to the project too. So,
Yeah, and it's helpful, especially if we have, our local rep and our senator, you know, cause they know what, you know, what's out there for money and stuff like that, and who knows, maybe they can put something on one of the budgets as it gets, you know, maybe for next year or something like that, where we can get a line item budget, expense for the town of Granby for something. Anything's possible.
and to let you know, I got the notice back from the Community One Stop that, the project I put in for basically a community center at that spot, we could qualify up to a $500,000 grant through the rural communities program,
Yeah,
which would help towards that project too.
absolutely.
So, you know, it's just all these pockets of money, it's just gonna have to try and figure out how we can get them all together.
Well, that's it too, and it's first deciding what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it, and then go after the money somehow, some way.
Right, and in phases.
Yeah, absolutely, you know, cause, you know, either way, it's a large project that has to be done, so.
You know, and just so you know, Glenn, one of the ideas that was being put out there is if we have a lot of space left over, maybe use some of those classrooms as incubator spots for people to start a business. You know, things of that nature.
Yeah.
It's just that there was a lot of ideas being put out there, and, you know, our reps seemed very receptive to those type of ideas.
We can also look at too, what we could do with the other parts of the space, that's maybe space that can be rented out too.
Mm-hmm. But I also want to try and get like a youth center in there, or
Yeah,
after-school center or something, to maybe try and help get the youth of the community maybe intermingling with the elderly, You know, maybe the elderly can teach them how to play chess or play bridge or play other type of card games, you know.
The kids can teach the elderly to use the computer.
That's right.
But there is, and that's just it, when you have the space available, there's a lot of different options that can come into play, and that's what we gotta look at, you know?
You know, and then we were also floating out there to reactivate the kitchen, to start actually cooking meals there for the elderly, maybe the employees. And then, if it's successful, maybe offer to the general public to be able to come in and have a meal. And maybe do breakfast and lunch, and then see if maybe the culinary program at HCC or UMass would be willing to come in and maybe as a work project to be able to come in and run it for us.
So if I got this right, we're talking about town offices, we're talking about a restaurant, and we're talking about
But the
Senior center.
restaurant,
Local businesses.
the restaurant
Senior- and
is
senior
more
center.
towards for the elderly. Instead of having to use Western Mass Elder Care for the meal program,
No,
you know,
it's, where you can cost save is always gonna be a benefit, and you can put that money somewhere else. And like I said, it's not an overnight project, it's gonna take some time to do. It's gonna take a while to do it, and it's, what's gonna be our first stage, or second stage, the third stage, kinda moving forward, and kinda gotta have that whole thought, you know, process and plan, what we plan on doing, so eventually if we get to that point, we can start making some progress with it.
Yep.
First things first.
Yep, and also I think it's important to note that the renovation numbers that we're looking at are not a complete gut of the building. It's using the building and renovating it, you know, the windows, painting, the floor, the air conditioning, but it's not a complete gut.
Right.
So it's gonna come in cheaper than what was done in 2018.
Yeah.
Presumably, but with the numbers adjusted for today's inflation.
Right, but still, it gives us the space that the town needs to
Right.
use. And makes it a valuable location and resource for the town.
and if you want, Glenn, you know, we can make arrangements for you to tour it with us, so you can see some of the
Yeah.
thoughts for the use of the building.
It did help going through it
Yeah.
as they talk to you and they show you each section to see what they had in mind.
It's been a while since I've been in the
Yeah.
building,
It looks good, it
been
does.
some years,
But,
but,
but you're more than welcome,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
like
I'd
I
like
said,
to.
so you can get an idea of what we're looking at, you can
Yeah.
see what we're seeing.
Our congressmen were really impressed with the building.
Yeah.
They did not expect to step into that from the outside
Yeah.
view.
yeah, well, it's always been a well-kept building, I mean, you know, it has a nice, you know, a nice bones and structure to it. As
Mhm.
long as you know, keep the inside up and stuff like that, it's just an older building.
Yeah. And the big word was pickleball courts.
Yeah, it seems to be the new,
It's the new
thing
fad.
nowadays.
It's a new fad, so
Yeah.
we were talking about pickleball courts.
So,
Yep. That gym could be used for multiple things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you talk earlier about like seniors and things like that, you talk about the gym and what they can be used for inside that gym and doing things inside there. It opens up a whole new, you know, level of things that can be done.
And the nice thing is both entrances are handicap accessible.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's already pretty much ADA compliant. Just have to raise the toilets up a little bit though, that's all.
Just a little.
That's easy enough.
And you know what, to clarify, Chris, the town office numbers, I wasn't including senior center square footage. I was just including the town offices, so that's, it wasn't,
Okay.
if you're gonna add the senior center once, that's another 6,800 maximum.
Okay.
So, all right, about 12,000, 14,000.
Yep, with everything,
Yeah.
right?
Still looking at, we had 15,000 feet,
Yep.
square feet, so it's still well within that range.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, well, anything else, Lynn?
No,
Thank you very
not
much,
until we
Yeah.
do.
to you and the committee for all your hard work on this.
Hopefully, it'll be completed soon, and we can make a decision.
All right.
Thank you.
Let me take a step back.
All right, well, we do have some time before our next appointment at 5:50. Chris, you have anything for us?
I did mention about the community one-stop. And the second project I put in was for infrastructure improvements, water or sewer, and/or sewer. And they said we could probably qualify up to a $1 to $2 million grant to start working on that also. I do know that when I met with our representatives, Mindy and Representative Carey, was that I was talking mainly the water. Because with us being on private well water and the issue with rising groundwater, it's just a matter of time before all these wells start becoming contaminated.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Bill, I don't know if with his short time on the Board of Health can attest to it, but it seems like we're getting more and more hits as we go.
And again, I've been a long time proponent of the water line from there to there.
Mhm.
And if you get that done, you can develop all these properties between South Hadley and the Five Corners area.
From where? I'm
From
sorry.
South Hadley line to Five Corners.
Five Corners,
yes.
okay.
In my opinion, that would be money very well spent.
What was the moratorium? How many, I know it was a 5-year moratorium put on it, but how long are we into that 5 years?
The paving
It's
one.
a year, it's basically
about
a
a
year.
year.
Okay,
They put it in last summer, so
Last
we're into
summer.
it a year now.
okay,
But I'm looking at if there's a way we could go down the side, not dig up the road, but if we could go along the sidewalks instead. That would be a cheaper cost for us to have to replace, to be honest with you. Because you're only talking a 3-foot wide sidewalk versus having to pave
Right.
a 24-foot wide highway. So to me, if we could figure a way of going down either one side or the other, that would be more beneficial to us. We could probably move forward with the project quicker and not have to worry about disturbing the pavement on
As long as you're 10 feet off the sewer line, there's a
Right.
requirement to be 10-foot
Yep.
separation.
But I'm just wanna look into that too, Bill. That's what I'm just saying, you know, just if we can do that.
Yes.
Say the sewer comes down this side of 202,
Mm-hmm.
we can look at putting the water on the opposite side and go down that way.
Yeah.
Because we do know we have to somehow bridge the pond or the
The pond,
brook.
right, you go over that.
And they were talking about making us go over it, where we were looking at maybe seeing if there's a way we could tunnel under it instead.
That's a cheaper solution.
Yeah.
And better to go underneath.
Yeah,
Go
so
under.
that's all. It's just, the ideas are out there. It's just trying to coalesce them together.
Yep, well, exactly. All right.
so I know the one stop, it's due in June, right? So, as far as the next steps, I know you guys did a lot of work for this a couple years back. So, can we use, like you're saying, kind of like along the lines of the same plan? And then,
I would want to look at the drawings themselves
okay,
and see if, because I think they were planning on coming down inside of 202.
okay,
Because we were going to mainly link our installation of the piping to coincide just in advance of them paving,
okay,
okay?
Right, it was coming down it was actually on 202, inside
Right,
the
so-
roadway.
We may want to contact the company, Lincoln White, I think it was Lincoln White.
Well, Chapel Engineering did the
Chapel,
engineering.
that's right.
Chapel, they're out of
Mm.
the Worcester
Yeah,
area. Yeah.
contact them and see if based upon their soil analysis, would we be able to go on one side or the other?
Yeah, well, and obviously we gotta get back into talks with
Yep.
South Hadley District 1 too, because a lot of it had to do with the water, what was available and, you know, how far the water went, and that was it, couldn't go any further. You know, that was some of the concern too, if you couldn't go past Five Corners, and that was kind of the concern at that point, then what's the sense of bringing it up that far if we can't do anything else with it,
Mm-hmm.
so. I'll see it for our end of our meeting, but I did have a conversation with Tim Colley, who's the new superintendent for District 2 Water, and South Hadley. In the end, it was a nice conversation, talk about, you know, how can we, you know, be able to provide water for Granby, to get into the talks with District 2
Well,
water.
District 2 instead of District 1.
Yeah.
Oh, I see, okay.
Well, we could use both, you know, just, you know, like you said, it's just, and Ms. Martin and I were talking earlier just about, you know, really planning for the future. We gotta start planning for the future and start making, some decisions now and start making some effort towards it. Because, 10, 15 years from now, some of those wells may not be good, and I think we need to do our part and our responsibility for, for residents of Granby, to try to provide the best that we can now, for the future, so. All right, well, I think that brings us right to the 5:50 mark.
We're up.
You're up.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Bill Shaheen, Chairman of the Conservation Commission. An update on our ongoing project with conservation restriction. Our members have been in contact with Attorney DeCruz's office. We have to update some of the upfront paperwork as part of the documentation. Namely, I think we had 2 new select board members since the paperwork was originally initiated, and I think we had 2 new conservation members. So John DeCruz will be updating that paperwork, getting it to us. And Chris, we had spoken the other day, so we have permission to utilize the town credit card for the photocopying?
I can go pick them up when they're ready. And that will
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right, we'll do that.
Just tell me which one
Yeah,
you
we're gonna
decide to go
have,
with.
we're gonna have 4 bound, GBC bound copies. It'll be a nice looking document that
Good.
everyone will be proud of. So, that's the update, and hopefully we'll have that done as soon as we get the paperwork from Mr. DeCruz.
All right.
Okay, folks?
Sounds good.
Okay. Hey,
Thank
good
you.
to see everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Take care, Bill.
Yeah, take care, Bill.
All right. I don't see we have any citizen participation, so move forward to our Dufresne Rentals.
Yes, sir. Sorry.
It's all right.
Just to share with you, I was talking with Bill, because they are in need of a conservation agent. And I do know that the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission has 2 other communities that were interested in trying to get a conservation agent, and maybe seeing if we can do a shared agent amongst the 3 towns. So, that's all. I just
Okay.
wanted to talk with Bill and see if he would be amenable to that type of a solution, so. Okay, rentals. The first one's gonna be for Brown Ellison Park, the baseball field. This is for GAA baseball. It will be between April 20th and July 4th of 2023. Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 12 p.m. to 6 p.m. Number of people, 100, and it is the baseball field for grades 5 and 6. Next one is for the Dufresne Recreation, GAA softball. It is between April 26th and June 30th of 2023, Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday and Sunday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Maximum number of people, 60. Area is softball field number 3 for grades 3 and 4. Next one is for the Brown Ellison soccer field. Applicant is the GAA. Again, it is from April 20th, 2023 to July 5th, 2023. Arrival time 4 p.m., departure time 8 p.m. Soccer games select Saturdays from 9 to 3. Maximum number of people is 200. Area being used is the back and front soccer fields for practice and games. Next one is for Dufresne Recreation Area. It is for a birthday party on Saturday, May 27th, 2023. Arriving 11 a.m., departing 4 p.m. Liquor authorized, no. Maximum number of people, 40. It's the Taylor Street side pavilion number 1. And the last one is a summer concert on July 20th, 2023. Arriving 4 p.m., departing 8 p.m. Maximum number of people, 100 plus. It is a The area that they will be looking for is the gazebo and the lawn area. And those are all the Dufresne rentals.
Was that the Council on Aging concert?
Nope.
Okay.
Alright. How about the departmental reports? Have a chance to review them, Crystal?
I did, yes.
You have any questions, concerns, comments?
No, I did notice that I don't know if you've noticed over the last couple of weeks, there's a lot of fraudulent activity going on in all the police reports. So just for our townspeople to be on the lookout for that. There's a lot of different cases or different scenarios that I read about, and I didn't realize it was as prevalent as it is. So just people be on the lookout, I guess.
Well, I think it's, you know, so if you watch the news, they've been
Yeah.
noticing a lot of the other towns too. I think it's just, and I hate to say it, but it's that time of the year. It's the spring, you know, so the what?
calls?
Um,
Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, people opening
No.
up accounts in other people's name, buying cell
Yeah.
phones in other people's names, just a lot of that activity, I guess.
Yeah.
And I guess I just didn't know it was that big. But it seems to be happening
Seems to go in
every
spurt.
report,
Yeah, it seems to go in little spurts every once in a while.
yeah.
No, it's a good thing to remind people of too, just certain things that, and what people do when they get personal information and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And unfortunately, it's not that hard to get people's personal information nowadays to
Right.
do things with it, so. All right, well, with that said, I'll actually make a motion to accept the departmental reports.
I will second that motion.
All right. Is there any further discussion at this time?
No.
All in favor? Anybody opposed? All right. So we have to approve and sign maintenance warrants.
I have to do that later. All right, so the first one is a bills payable warrant, number 62, dated April 7th, 2023, in the amount of $293,729.56. So sorry, I should have started off with, I will make a motion to approve warrant 62.
I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion this time?
This is just a question, because I've never seen one of the warrants yet. The Title V inspections, is that just for the town buildings?
No,
Okay,
those are for the residents who are on the community septic system behind the highway garage. And that is mainly out by the Grandview, Smith Ave area of town. We have like about, I think it's 47 homes that are attached to the community septic.
okay,
And we are required to do Title V inspections under the new regulations by DEP, and that's what we started doing.
okay. Is it every so many years that?
It'll
they
be
have
like
to
every
do-
3 years, because what we
Okay.
normally do is we try and break it up in, so we have them done every 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, that was just the first time I saw that, so I wasn't sure what it was for. And then the South Hadley usage charge, that's just for the sewer?
That's our cost to use
Highway.
the regional
Okay.
wastewater treatment facility.
And that's the one that you said the cost was gonna increase, right, because of the?
And it didn't this time.
Okay,
It didn't this time, so I have a feeling it's gonna start next fiscal year.
okay,
So we will probably have to address and send a letter to the company that is gonna be affected big time,
okay.
Yes.
so.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. Next.
Do you want me to sign first, or just stack them up?
It's just two of us, so doesn't matter either way, I guess.
Next one is a payroll warrant, number 63, dated April 14th, 2023, in the amount of $453,908.25. A motion to approve warrant number 63.
I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion at this time?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'll make a motion for the payroll maintenance warrant number 64, dated April 14th, 2023, in the amount of $90,236.77.
I'll second the motion. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you.
All right, and the last one is a motion to approve the bills payable warrant number 65, dated April 21st, 2023, in the amount of $284,759.04.
I'll second the motion. Any further discussion at this time?
I did actually have some questions on this one. What is a public official's bond?
That is, under Mass General Law, the tax collector is required to have a bond to perform her duty and collect the funds for real estate taxes and such.
Okay.
And based upon the annual collection amounts that are billed out, a certain dollar amount is required to be bonded by the treasurer, or the collector, I'm sorry. And then the other one is, we have two of them. The other one is for the town clerk, and hers is a lesser amount, just to cover her for errors and omissions and the monies that she collects also.
And then there was two things that were actually paid out on this from the annual town meeting. One was from 2022, but it just says Commonwealth of Mass. And then it says the annual town meeting for 5/9/2022, number 13.
What's the dollar amount?
5,000.
5,000, that is the Board of Health for the Pioneer Valley Mosquito Control District. That is the amount for them to do testing of the mosquitoes over the summer, checking for West Nile virus and equine encephalitis.
And I know you guys have talked about this before from our, when we were doing in contract negotiations, but what's PAT stand for, the patent incentive?
Physical aptitude test.
Okay, so physical fitness, basically.
Yes, that our officers are able to be physically fit and pass a set course in the allotted time, yes.
Right, and I think that was it. Yep.
All in favor?
Bye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Thank you. You're welcome. Next on our agenda is to approve minutes. And I'm gonna ask if we just wait till our next meeting till Rick is back, in case he has anything in the meeting that he wants to,
Okay.
it's not gonna hurt to wait, but just in case he had anything that he wanted to,
All right.
correct, that's all.
Can I talk about a couple things before we do next item?
Sure.
First one is I gave you the Memorial Day Parade agenda
Yep.
for May 29th, starting at 9 a.m. I'm not sure if you're planning on marching in the parade or not, or if anybody wants to say a few words. If
Well,
you-
I'd like to, if I'm still here.
So I will let Jeff Rule know that, yes, the select
Yeah.
board would like to make some comments at it, and he will be in attendance
Yeah.
at this time.
Oh, it's a nice day.
At this time. Okay. The second item is our meeting schedule. We're meeting tonight.
Yep.
We would normally be scheduled to meet on the 1st.
Yep.
We will be meeting on the 8th for the first half of town meeting. And then we'd be meeting on the 15th as the second meeting, no, 16th, because we can't meet on election day.
Right.
Okay.
So we'd have to meet on the 16th. I was wondering, does the board wish to meet on the 8th and the 16th, or do the 8th and the 22nd? Because usually the 8th, just before town meeting, we just do emergency type of stuff, because usually you have residents who are coming up and talking to you. Or do you want to do like the 1st, the 8th, and the 22nd? It's up, I'm just trying to get a feel for the board, that's all.
For next week, besides warrants, would you have, and departmental reports, would we have?
You
is
probably
there-
have one set of departmental, I doubt if
Yeah.
we're gonna have anything else, unless you wanna talk, I know you're gonna talk about MVP 2.0 tonight, or do you wanna wait and
It
schedule it
wasn't
for
on
the
the
first?
agenda, so I know Glenn's probably gonna wanna wait on that, and it's not
Yeah.
due till May 19th instead of 17th.
So I'm just saying, we could schedule the first,
Then
do
we
the
can-
first, do the 8th, and then skip to the 22nd, if that's what the board wanted, something of that
Okay.
nature.
I think that's good. I mean, if that works for you, Crystal.
Yeah.
The 1st, the
I can do
8th,
that.
and we skip to the 22nd.
And who knows, Glenn, like you said, you know, you may or may not be here.
Thanks, Chris.
I expect you to be here.
So
You
that's-
promised.
So that's the 3 meetings in May.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
it's
Okay.
a long run.
Well, one's the town
Town
meeting,
meeting,
anyway, so.
yes. And we really don't get much done at that meeting beforehand. It's just, we just schedule it just in
Yeah,
case there's
so
any
it's make sure-
emergency type
yeah,
of things
yeah.
that have to be done.
All right, so just, if you could send out the email so Rick is aware of it, so in case he has any plans or anything like that,
Okay,
the sooner the better probably, 'cause it's next week, next Monday.
yep, okay, I just wanted to make sure, that's all.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, that's all I wanted to talk about.
All right. Next we have to sign the annual town meeting warrant.
So do I read the whole thing, Chris?
Well, do you want to read it, or would you rather prefer I read it?
It doesn't matter, I can read it. I just didn't know if we read the whole thing. We do, all right.
We usually have Chris read it, that's why.
Yeah, they usually get tired.
He
of
wrote
reading
it, so it's pretty good what it says.
All right, no abbreviations, nothing.
Nope.
Okay, you got it. All right, so Commonwealth of Massachusetts Town of Granby Annual Town Meeting. Hampshire, what's SS? I was just curious.
I have no idea, it's just subscript, I don't know.
Okay.
It's just-
All right. To one of the constables of the town of Granby in the county of Hampshire, greetings. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are hereby directed to notify and warn the inhabitants of said town qualified to vote in elections and town affairs to meet at the East Meadow Elementary School on East State Street in said town on Monday, the 8th day of May, next at 7 p.m., then and there to act on the following articles to wit. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to conduct the business of the meeting as follows. On May 8th, 2023, consider Articles 2 through 19, and on June 5th, 2023, consider Articles 20 through 27, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to approve the consent agenda as follows. Article 2A, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Select Board to conduct the following activities for fiscal year 2024. A, to sell after first giving notice of time and place of sale by posting such notices of sale in some convenient and public place in the town 14 days at least before the sale, property taken by the town under tax title land of low value procedure, provided the Select Board or whomever they authorize to hold such public auction may reject any bid they deem inadequate. B, to apply for and accept federal and state grants or monies as may be made available and to allow the Select Board to expend any funds received as set forth in the appropriate application. C, to enter into a contract with the Massachusetts Highway Department for the construction and maintenance of public highways for the ensuing year, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2B, to see if the town will authorize the various departments to receive compensation for services rendered for fiscal year 2024 as follows. A, the cemetery commissioners to dig graves and maintain the equipment and grounds in the cemeteries at a wage rate that is no less than the minimum wage. B, the members of the Board of Assessors to be compensated $15 per parcel for necessary field work and data collection for services rendered in connection with the reevaluation recertification process involving 1/6 of the improved parcels in town. C, the members of the Board of Health or their consultants to receive compensation at a wage rate of $35 per inspection or specific required activity. D, the members of the Board of Health or their appointees to receive compensation at a at a wage rate of $65 per inspection, or take any other action in regard thereto. Sorry, Lynn, was there something that I missed?
Is that D?
No, we're still on, well, yeah, that was D, the members of the planning board.
Okay, you
or
said it said Board of Health. I don't think you read planning board.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So I did C,
Yeah.
and then D, the members of the planning board or their appointees to receive compensation at a wage rate of $65 per inspection, or take any other action in regard thereto. I think you're right. I think I skipped that line. Sorry. Article 2C, to see if the town will vote to authorize the Conservation Commission to charge a fee of $75 for each site inspection deemed necessary by a quorum of the commission. Fees shall be payable to the Town of Granby Conservation Commission and deposited in the Conservation Hatch Fund, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2D, to see if the town will vote to accept the following gifts in calendar year 2022 for perpetual care of cemetery lots. Mary Ann Chevalier, $1,565. John and Darlene Sullivan, $1,565. Ann Polchapek Sullivan, $765. Deborah J. and Peter Warinsky, $3,165. Albert E. and Joanne M. Bassett, $1,565. Echo L. Cook Yanoski, $765. Andreas K. and Karen M. Karash, $765. Catherine A. McKay and Stephen R. Pelletier, $1,530. Mildred Tracy, $775. Michael J. and Karen J. LaJoy, $3,155. James and Margaret A. Sewell, $1,565. Henry E. and Sylvia T. Forget, $2,265. Carl F. and Christine M. Ferguson, $1,565. Lois L. Burns, $2,355. Trudy E. Turcott, $775. Patricia L. and Heather L. LeClaire, $1,565. Or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2E, to see if the town will vote to authorize expenditures from these revolving funds for fiscal year 2024 without further appropriation. A Parks Oversight Revolving Fund from which the Parks Oversight Ad Hoc Committee may spend $40,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. B, a Charter Day revolving fund from which the Charter Day Ad Hoc Committee may spend $50,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. C, a Planning Board fees revolving fund from which the Planning Board may spend $50,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. D, an after-school activities program revolving fund from which the Superintendent of Schools may spend $20,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. E, a dog revolving fund from which the Police Chief may spend $14,174 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024. F, a library revolving fund from which the Library Commissioners may spend $2,000 in revolving fund monies in fiscal year 2024, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2F, to see if the town will vote to authorize town departments to enter into agreements in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 4A for the fiscal year 2024, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2G, to see if the town will vote to allow the Select Board to appoint a member of the Select Board to a position that is under the supervision of the Select Board as allowed under Mass General Law, Chapter 268A, Section 21A, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2H, to see if the town will vote to amend the bylaws of the town of Granby, Volume 2, Roman numeral numbers, Chapter 19, thank you, Personal Bylaw, Appendix D, Compensation Plan Pay Schedules, and substituting a new Appendix D showing the 9 pay grades and 10 steps to be effective July 1st, 2023, or take any other action in regard thereto. Copies of Chapter 19, Appendix D are available at the Select Board's office. Article 2I, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $271,968 or a greater or lesser amount as its apportioned share of the fiscal year 2024 budget for the Pathfinder Regional Vocational Technical High School District, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2J, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available funds the sum of $273,605.51 or a greater or lesser amount authorized under Chapter 291 of the Acts of 2004 for highway construction improvements defined under Chapter 90 of the general laws, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 2K, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $175,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the town's other post-employment benefits, OPEB, liability, or take any other action in regard thereto.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Article 2J. Is that the first year I put that into the consent
No,
agenda?
we put that in last year too.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was one that needed to come out.
Nope, we had that in there last year too.
Okay. And then if we have Pathfinder and 2I,
Yeah.
why don't we have Smith Voc in the agenda?
It's down a little bit farther, we didn't put it up there, because that may or may not occur, it all depends if kids are going to another vocational school due to the Pathfinder not offering that course of study.
Okay.
That's what happened before in the past. Pathfinder
Yes.
didn't offer it, so we had a
So we put it,
Smith.
right,
So,
but so I
see-
didn't know if
But see, Pathfinder is gonna be an automatic appropriation every year, no matter what. It's,
So-
it's almost like a standard type of
Yeah.
article, year in and year out, because we do
but I guess if
have,
we know this year that somebody is going to Smith Voc, why don't we put it in the consent? Because we can't really vote that down.
sure you can. They just won't be able to go to the class.
Okay. I'm okay
Yeah.
with leaving it the way it is, I just didn't understand why we didn't have, we had one but not the other. So I see how Smith Voc isn't every year, so.
Yeah, it could be 1, could be 2, could be 3, could be none. We never know until every spring. be honest with you.
Carry on.
All right, Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $50,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the repair of the play structure located at Dufresne Park, or take any other action in regard thereto.
Okay, can I interrupt you here on this one?
Yep.
Normally, I would have done this through a special town meeting article, but due to the fact that we changed our meeting date to today, I don't have a 2-week posting period before May 8th to allow me to post it as a special town meeting. So, to address it in May, to get the project moving, I put it as part of the first half of the annual town meeting, just so the board knows, okay?
And it doesn't have to be part of a special town meeting, right? It just has to be at a town meeting.
We just have to
Okay.
get the appropriation from our legislative body to spend the money.
Okay,
Okay, and if they approve it, then we can contact the company and tell them, you can now proceed,
okay.
okay?
All right, Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $35,735 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the upgrading of the security camera server and DVR, installation of a fob reader and handicap button in the main entrance door at the junior senior high school, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $38,230 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the replacement of classroom projectors at the junior senior high school, or take any other action in regard thereto.
That's a question. Why is that not in the school budget?
I believe it went in front of the capital improvements.
Because it is a capital article in excess of $25,000, and under the Education Reform Act, anything over and above that really should be done as a separate article over and above.
Good to know.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $65,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding brush truck equipment upgrades for the fire department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $236,500 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the purchase of self-contained breathing apparatus SCBA for the fire department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $67,262 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the purchase of a marked cruiser for the police department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $60,152 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the purchase of an unmarked cruiser for the police department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $105,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the purchase of a vacuum truck for the highway department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $15,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the installation of exterior cameras at the highway department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond, $12,195 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the installation of automatic door openers at the police department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $50,000 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding tree removal, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, transfer from the stabilization fund, transfer from free cash, borrow or bond $60,228, so $60,228 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the tuition for Smith Vocational and Agricultural High School students, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to establish an opioid settlement stabilization account in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 5B. Said stabilization fund is being established for the purpose of future expenditures related to opioid recovery, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $21,291.27 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the opioid settlement stabilization fund, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 17, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $68,698 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the general purpose stabilization fund, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 18, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $68,699 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the capital needs stabilization fund, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $68,699 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of funding the municipal building stabilization fund, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds $539,346 or a greater or lesser amount to operate the municipal solid waste department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 21, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds $251,321 or a greater or lesser amount to operate the sewer department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 22, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds $421,782 or a greater or lesser amount to operate the ambulance department, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 23, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds such sums of money as may be necessary to defray the expense of the town, including debt and interest, for the ensuing year, and to carry out any vote passed under this article. Article 24, to see if the town will vote to transfer from the capital equipment needs stabilization fund $152,400 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of reducing the funding from tax levy for the fiscal year 2024 appropriations, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 25, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash $600,000 for the purpose of reducing the funding from tax levy for the fiscal year 2024 appropriations, or take any other action in regard thereto. Article 26, to see if the town will vote to transfer from account number 30-122-5801-000 bond premiums to be applied $11,989.35 or a greater or lesser amount for the purpose of reducing the funding from tax levy for the fiscal year 2024 appropriations, or take any other action in regard thereto. And Article 27, to see if the town will vote to assess the amounts raised and appropriated under these articles and warrants on the estates and personal property of the town of Granby. Oh, sorry, yep, flip. And you are hereby directed to serve this warrant by posting attested copies thereof at 5 or more public places as of the bylaws before the time of said meeting. Hereof fail not and make due return of this warrant with your doings thereon to the town clerk at the time and place of meeting aforesaid. Given under our hands this 24th day of April in the year of our Lord 2023. Now-
Fine job, fine job.
I know I stumble, after a while, you like see the same lines over and over
Yeah,
again.
just I'm following along to make sure. Chris, Article 20,
20.
yeah, it's for,
Yep.
Of solid waste. That seems much higher than the past.
No,
No, that,
it's what it is, yeah.
yeah, for some reason it seems like it's,
Because, but don't forget, we, last year, or for this fiscal year, we ended up having Casella, not Casella,
we ended up
the
paying,
trash burner
Yeah.
down in Agawam closed.
because they're closed, right.
We had to go for a new contract with another company to take our municipal solid waste. The amount that we had, that the trash burner had given us was $67 a ton for disposal. That now went to, I believe, $95 a ton. Okay?
My question is, so when this was passed way back when, how does this gonna affect, is it, by what the town is taking in, does that cover it?
No. We are using reserve funds
Right.
to subsidize the program.
And the purpose of me bringing that up is for the people to realize and understand that there was a great increase to it, and the reason why, but also that the town, still the taxpayers in town, are picking up the other portion instead of billing it out as such.
And so that everybody is well aware, our current contract with Waste Management for curbside collection expires June 30th of 2025. The contract with McNamara Transfer Station for the taking in of our municipal solid waste ends June 30th, 2025. Okay? The problem we're gonna run into, and we don't know what's gonna happen with the Springfield Materials Recycling Facility, the SMRF. Okay? SMRF, okay? We don't know where that's gonna go. Plus, those costs have been going up too. Where before, we were getting a check on a monthly basis, we're now paying about $65 a ton to get rid of our recyclables too. So, everything is going up and up and up. And when it comes time to renew the contract, the town may not be able to afford curbside collection.
Well, I think that's something, and again, bringing that up, well, let's get past this, we can talk about that later, but that is your motion. Second your motion. Is there any further discussion? No. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? And just at that point, Chris, that you're talking about, would be a reason why sooner or later to start having discussions as far as that, because if we realize it's not really affordable for the town to continue with curbside pickup, we need to look at other options or what we need to do. I mean, because it's gonna be a drastic change and we think of the cost. You've already seen it over the past couple of years. I think, our next fiscal year, 24, we should probably really start
Yep.
knocking it out, the figures that we have, sooner or later, so we can, have something that's a firm in place.
It usually takes
Yes,
about a
sir.
year
Yeah.
to do the bidding process.
Right, so
Okay.
probably sooner than later would be a good thing for us.
And the other scuttlebutt that's out there is, under any new curbside collection program, they're now making it where they're not gonna have a truck driver or a helper getting out of the truck.
It's just the
They're just
barrel.
gonna wanna use the
Automatic.
arm on the side, which means either the town has to negotiate the collection company supplying the containers, or we have to go out and do a mass purchase of the containers,
Right.
or we get out of the program.
Right, so that's the really probably starting sooner than later to start having those talks and
Mhm.
discussions, so we can start moving forward. Because if it's not feasible, for us to continue with it, then we need to make other arrangements, or at least start discussing that. Or what the cost would be, what, you know, if there's additional cost to, the residents, you know, we need to really, I mean, that's real, it's coming, I wanna make sure we have a real solution for it as it gets near, so.
And because we have to understand that if it gets to the point where they're only gonna use the arm, people won't be able to buy bags and have additional bags outside of the barrel. All they'll be able to have is that container.
Some of those barrels they're good size though.
Well, 96 gallons, but the problem becomes is you look at some of the trash that people put out, they put out 3 or 4 other bags in addition to their regular 35-gallon container,
I know.
okay? That's gonna be a problem, you know? What are we gonna do for the elderly? What are we gonna do for the people who are low income? You know? We won't be able to afford continuing to subsidize the program.
That's why I said we need to talk about it sooner or later, because a lot of different things come into play. And they gotta take a serious look at it.
And Chris, if I remember correctly, at the town meetings, sorry, there's just that back one on
Mhm.
here. At the town meetings, you guys always give a sheet and explain the articles as we go, so the
Not always.
chapter 19 and chapter 228 and all that, is that something that we have to look up in advance? Or is that something, I know that chapter 19 is
which-
at the select board's office for
which-
Article 2H.
Oh, that's a schedule. That's just gonna be a schedule.
Oh, okay,
That's the pay schedule.
okay. And then the chapter 268, that's just where we appoint a chair, right?
268A?
This- Yeah, this.
No, 268A is basically the ethics law.
Okay,
And what it is in order for us to be able to appoint a select board member to a subcommittee,
okay,
we have to have permission from town meeting to allow us to do that,
okay,
okay? Otherwise, we'll be in violation of ethics.
okay,
And that, if they approve it, allows us to now have a select board member be on a subcommittee if they want to
Okay.
take interest in a special project that we're dealing with.
okay. And then, we don't have the budget for fiscal year 2024 yet, right?
It's with the finance committee right now.
Okay. Because I noticed we were asking for appropriation, so I didn't know if that was coming. Because this is separate from the budget, correct? That we're asking the money to be pulled out of stabilization, free cash and so forth, separate from the budget of the departments.
In my version of the budget, those amounts were necessary to fund the FY 2024 appropriations for the
Okay.
departments. Finance committee may change, those numbers may change.
Okay,
Don't know. I'm just forewarning everybody, this is what we're looking at doing. All this document does is warn everybody, this is what's gonna be addressed. This is the amount, but please be advised, it could be higher, it could be lower, depending upon what happens at town meeting.
okay. And we'll know how much is in the stabilization fund for town meeting too?
Yep.
Okay, and then free cash and so forth?
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Now we have to approve the 2-day liquor license for the 266 Lounge for Charter Days 2023.
All right, so this is a special license. The local licensing authorities of the within-named city or town have approved pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 138, Section 14, issuance of a special license as described herein. So Town of Granby, local authority approval was on April 3rd, 2023, for June 9th, 2023. Granby American Legion doing business as 266 Lounge at 74 Pleasant Street in Granby. Effective date is for June 9th, 2023. Hours of sale are 5 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. on June 9th, 5 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. 2 drinks per person, and 9:45 to 10 p.m. 1 drink per person. Description of the licensed premises, Dufresne Park area, Kendall Street side for Charter Day in a confined designated tent no larger than a 40 by 80 area with only 1 entrance and 1 exit.
Crystal, before you go any further, Chris, is there any concern with Crystal signing off on that because she's part of the Charter Day
No.
committee?
No.
Just wanna make sure, cause if not, we don't have.
She
enough
has
people
to
vote.
sign it by the rule of necessity,
Okay,
because Rick is not
right,
here.
he's not here, that's why I wanna make sure.
So she
Okay.
has to sign it, so you have at least the majority of the board
Okay.
signing the document.
And under the hours of sale, it says from 5 p.m. to 10:15, and then it says they can only, at 10 p.m. I think I'm being too technical. So would it be 10 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. they can get 1 drink? Because they can serve to 10:15, or that's just assumed, right? For 15 minutes, they can get 1 drink.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the license is for sale of wines and malt beverages only. The license activity or enterprise is a nonprofit. Police officers, so restrictions attached to the license by the local authority. Police officers must be on duty as assigned by the police chief at all times. Beer and wine is to be consumed only within the contained fenced-in area with only 1 entrance/exit. The checking of patron IDs is the responsibility of the licensee. No one under 21 years of age is allowed inside the tent. Hours of sale are June 9th, 2023 from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., which contradicts the 10:15 up here.
Alright, so up here it says June 9th is from 5 p.m. to 9:45 p.m.
That's for the 2 drinks. And then at 10 p.m. they can only get 1. So like if you go
Okay.
up to the stand and you want to buy a drink for you and your wife, you can. But at 10 p.m. you can only
They'll
get
buy
1 for
one
you.
drink. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright,
But it says up at the top that you can sell from 5 to 10:15, and then down at the bottom it says from 5 to
10 p.m., yeah. Chris, would you have time to reprint this? Just so it's accurate on both.
Give me a second. On the packets. That's the June 9th one?
Yes.
Do you want me to check the June 10th? So he doesn't
Well,
have
might
to
as
make 2
well,
trips
yeah.
up? No, that one says till 10:15,
Right.
and that one says till 10:15, so we're good, matches.
Okay. Right, because that one said to 10:15 here, and it said 10 o'clock down here.
Right, so it just contradicted it. Why that one's on hold, do you want me to start that one?
Sure. You take care of that one.
Alright, notice of approval of special license. The local licensing authorities of the within named city or town have approved pursuant to the provisions of chapter 138, section 14, issuance of a special license as described herein. Town of Granby, local authority approval was on April 3rd, 2023 for June 10th, 2023. Granby American Legion doing business as 266
Can you
Lounge.
recess the meeting for a couple minutes?
We,
Or you just want me to just go up and get?
well, we're working on the other one right now, so.
Okay.
Right.
Granby American Legion doing business as 266 Lounge Incorporated at 74 Pleasant Street, Granby, Mass. Effective date or dates of license is June 10th, 2023 from 12 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. June 10th, 12 p.m. to 9:45 p.m., 2 drinks per person. 9:45 to 10:15, 1 drink per person. And then, Dufresne Park area, Kendall Street side for Charter Day in confined designated tent no larger than a 40 by 80 area with only 1 entrance and 1 exit. Licenses for sale of wines and malt beverages only. The license activity of or enterprise is a nonprofit. And restrictions attached to the license by the local authority. Police officers must be on duty as assigned by the police chief at all times. Beer and wine is to be consumed only within the contained fenced-in area with only 1 entrance/exit. The checking of patron IDs is the responsibility of the licensee. Under 21 years of age is allowed inside the tent area when accompanied by a legal guardian from 12 to 4 p.m. No one under 21 years of age is allowed inside the tent area after 4 p.m. And hours of sale for June 10, 2023 is from 12 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. So I did notice. Okay. So on the Friday one, they're allowed to get 2 drinks until 10, and then at 10 to 10:15 they get 1 drink.
So why is it?
I don't know.
Maybe because it's Saturday night and that's the night of the fireworks, so they wanted to,
But the police chief said he was fine with keeping it the same when he came and met with us.
they did, but
Just that the children aren't allowed in on Friday. That was the only difference, is on Saturday, only from 12 to 4 were children allowed in with their parents.
right.
And then after 4, no children.
Just say it was 12 p.m. to 10:15. But what's the question? So from 9:45 to 10:15, they'll allow one drink?
Yeah, and just on the Friday night one, it's from 10 to 10:15. So you can get 2 drinks from 12 to 10
Right,
on the Friday night one, but Friday night would be 5 to 10, because we open at 5. And
Mhm.
then, you can get 1 drink after 10, but for that last 15 minutes.
okay.
I don't know how they wrote it up on here, but I know the police chief came in.
So should this only be 15 minutes? It should be.
Yeah, it's 15 minutes to get 1 drink,
So it's not a half an hour.
right, on the Friday one. And from what at our last meeting, that we had with the police chief.
So that should say from 10 to 10:15.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with you now.
But I wanted to see, and I think yeah, see, they were
You did
trying to.
10:30, yeah,
But that's not what he agreed
Right,
to.
yeah.
He said still 10:15.
Okay. All right, well, you know what? While we're waiting, I'm gonna make a motion to take maybe a 5-minute recess till we have Mr. Martin back from the other part too, so.
I second that motion.
All right. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Call the select board meeting back to order, at this time. We did have the, license updated with the, correct time, according to the chief of police. So, Crystal, if you wanna review it one more time, or
Yep.
go over it one more time, then we'll go through it.
So Town of Granby is approving a special license for the Granby American Legion doing business as 266 Lounge Incorporated at 74 Pleasant Street for June 9th, 2023. Authorized hours of sale are from 5 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. on June 9th, 5 p.m. to 9:45 p.m., 2 drinks per person, and 9:45 p.m. to 10:15, 1 drink per person. At Dufresne Park area, Kendall Street side for Charter Day in a confined designated tent no larger than a 40 by 80 area with only 1 entrance and 1 exit. Licenses for sale of wine and malt beverages only. The license activity is a nonprofit. Restrictions attached to the license by the local authority. Police officers must be on duty as assigned by the police chief at all times. Beer and wine is to be consumed only within the contained fenced-in area with only 1 entrance/exit. The checking of patron IDs is the responsibility of the licensee. No one under 21 years of age is allowed inside the tent, and hours of sale on June 9th, 2023 are from 5 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. Motion to approve.
I'll second your motion. Any, further discussion this time?
No.
All in favor?
Aye. All right, a motion to approve the special license for Town of Granby, local authority approval on April 3rd, 2023 for June 10th, 2023 for Granby American Legion doing business as 266 Lounge Incorporated at 74 Pleasant Street for June 10th, 2023. Hours of sale are 12 p.m. to 10:15 p.m. June 10th, 12 p.m. to 9:45 p.m. 2 drinks per person, 9:45 p.m. to 10:15 1 drink per person. Licensed premises are Dufresne Park area, Kendall Street side for Charter Day in a confined designated tent no larger than a 40 by 80 area with only 1 entrance and 1 exit. Wine and malt beverages for sale only. Licensing activity or enterprise is a nonprofit. Restrictions attached to the license by the local authority are police officers must be on duty as assigned by the police chief at all times. Beer and wine is to be consumed only within the contained fenced-in area with only 1 entrance/exit. The checking of patron IDs is the responsibility of licensee. Under 21 years of age is allowed inside the tent area when accompanied by a legal guardian from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. No one under 21 years of age is allowed inside the tent after 4 p.m. Hours of sale are June 10th, 2023 from 12 p.m. to 10:15 p.m.
All right, I'll second your motion. Is there any further discussion this time?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay.
Chris, do you need me to read the Boy Scouts one or just for us to sign it?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so.
All right, so we do have next on our agenda for old business is the minutes from January 17th, but my same thing, I'll just ask that we wait to our next meeting to our other board member Rick is here, so. And with that said, I'll ask the other board member, if there's anything that they want to bring up for our next meeting.
Chris
The
already
agenda.
has the MVP 2.0 that we are gonna discuss
Mhm.
on the 1st, which is due the 19th. If we wanna participate in that, and, an email was sent out with the information and the slideshow and the video that you can watch too for it. And then I guess just to clarify, because this is my first time being part of the process, for the one stop ahead, do we want to discuss that more after town meeting, Chris? Would that be best? And then, because that one's due in June, and I gotta check the date on that. I don't know if it's the end of June or the beginning of June-ish.
So we can put that on to our second meeting in May.
Yeah, the May 22nd one.
Okay.
That can be the one-stop discussion, where we're looking at funding for what we're gonna do at West Street or the community center, and then for the infrastructure.
Okay. Anything else?
I don't believe so.
All right.
No.
What I do like to do is our next meeting is just really discuss about Tim Colley coming. As I said, he's the new superintendent.
How do you spell his last name, do you know?
I think it's Cauley. He is the new superintendent for District 2 for the town of South Hadley. And I like to talk about it when Rick is here as well, and then maybe have him come to our, if he's available, for our second meeting in May. If not, maybe our first meeting in June, but give him some dates and see what his availability is to come and speak to us about having water come to Granby through District 2's water. That'd be on the other side of Granby, so.
I was gonna say, is that down New Level Road? Is that District 2 area?
Yes, yeah.
Which ties into Morgan Street?
Right, District 2 is the one that comes down Morgan?
I believe so, yes.
So, which right now it's been a thing at the end, it stops at the end there. So, if they can actually continue that and see if they have the available water, but it'd be a nice discussion to have that with them there. And also, as we talked earlier, probably be, in the future, talk again with District 1 and look at, the ways that we can bring the additional water into Granby. So we've been talking about it.
Yeah. For the one-stop for growth, which is due in June, they would, when I was looking through the feedback that we got from them, it sounds like they're gonna need quite a bit from us if we are going to apply for that this year. And they will announce so it's due, the contracts must be, oh, no, that's not the one I wanted.
I don't know if we'd be ready, if they're.
That's what I'm wondering, like if
Yeah.
Chris was saying we already have somewhat of a plan with District 1 and we could possibly, but we need to get the engineer involved first, right?
Right.
So is
Yeah.
that,
So District 2 is something brand new. District 1, we
right?
worked with for several years, just talking about the water and how to, but then that was actually put on
Hold.
hold, really.
But
So-
I'm wondering if, and you guys would know the timeline better than I would, but would it be possible on that May 22nd date to get district, or to have the engineers look at the old plans to see if we can move it over to the sidewalk, and if it's a possibility to apply for this year?
I
for
mean,
District 1.
I think that's all, if it's possible by the engineers to take a look at it, they have a time frame to do it. That would
Okay.
fall on them, whether or not they'd have enough time to do that, to take a look at it.
Because, like it says here, like Chris was stating, possibly 1 to 2 million is the range that they
Yeah.
will help fund the project. Chris, would you
Yeah.
be able to reach out to the engineer to see if that's something that they can look at from the old plans, or were you gonna look at it first?
No, I wouldn't be able to know the soil types, so
Okay,
it's a little bit beyond me.
okay,
So we can reach out and see if it's something they could have for us, but if they can't, that's really understandable, because it's
it's short notice.
short notice, yeah, so. All right. Chris, anything for us?
No,
All right, well, if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second? I'll second. Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? No?